It was a year ago that a massive wildfire was roaring through Fort McMurray, Alberta, and Anthony Hoffman was one of the many heroic firefighters that fought what was called the Beast. He joins me now by Skype. Hi, Anthony.
Hi, Cheryl.
Now, you were fighting this fire a year ago, but little did you know that while you were trying to save other people's homes, your family home was burning down as well as your condo. What has this last year been like, just trying to recover from all this?
It's been a roller coaster. It wasn't as cut and dry as I thought it might be a year ago. I remember talking to you a year ago and being like, yeah, it'll be great. We're going to be rebuilt. Everything's going to be super smooth. But that's not usually the way it works emotionally or even with insurance and rebuild. So it's been a process.
Absolutely. I know you're not alone. Spring is just breaking in Fort McMurray. And, I think a lot of us thought, over the summer people would rebuild. But a lot of people are only just starting now to rebuild, right? Like, what kind of situations are you seeing there?
There's really a whole spectrum. I mean, there's people that are home already. They had mobile homes that they brought from out of town and kind of plopped down on a foundation. There's people that are, like you said, just starting the rebuild as the weather gets a little bit better. And then there's the good, bad, and the ugly. There's people that are still facing big question marks. Insurance wasn't the lifeboat that we had all hoped. People staring retirement down the barrel with, different expectations and different realities. So yeah, there's a complete spectrum of stories.
How do you think Fort McMurray is going to be changed ultimately by this? What do you think the lasting impact are you seeing now a year out?
What I'm hoping is, I can only speak from personal experience, but it's given me a complete new understanding of suffering, if that makes sense. I wrote an article called The Fire Charity, and in it I talked about how before giving used to be something I did almost reluctantly. And almost really, honestly, from a position of ego. And then the fire kind of put me right on my face, and I was in the position of having my hand out and asking for things, and that never feels good. But what it did was it gave me an understanding of suffering. There's people suffering all over the world for 1,000,001 different reasons. And all of a sudden there's this bridge of relatability. I get it. I know what it's like to hurt. What do you need? What can I do for you? And it creates an authenticity that almost makes charity a little bit more real, if that makes sense. And I'm hoping that other people are in Fort McMurray are seeing the same things, and that therefore going forward, Fort McMurray can be a major hub of generosity and giving an understanding for people who are going through things.
For sure. I mean, you're still going through it, right? You're having to rent and pay a mortgage at the same time, which is crazy. How do those kinds of things happen? I always thought, if your house burned down, your mortgage is done.
Yeah, you're good, right? Yeah, well, technically it's just a loan from the bank, right? And you're on the hook for it.
Wow, that's just crazy. A lot of people in Fort McMurray I know are talking about, like, can we just move on? Let's not even talk about it. Why are people still talking about it a year later? They want to kind of forget. Why does it matter that we remember?
I'm not so sure that it matters that we remember per se the actual fire. I don't know, how healthy that is, but maybe a sense, like I said, of that understanding that everybody's going through something different. And I'm hoping, the first instinct whenever something happens is to turn ourselves inwards, say, this is what's happening to me, this is my problem, this hurts, the world's against me. But suffering can also lead to a completely different road of introspection and self-examination and starting to ask bigger questions about your life, which I'm hoping that is the direction that the anniversary is going to lead people in, or really over this past year, that it takes us the focus off of ourselves and starts us to ask the bigger questions.
Well, I know that's one of the things I really appreciate about you. I met you on your first day off from fighting the beast, literally. Yeah, you just lost your home, and I really saw how your faith in God was sustaining you. Now that a year's gone by, how have you seen God work in your life and in the midst of all of this?
I think the biggest thing is that it's given the struggle a bit of purpose. I was wrestling with the idea, and there's really only three ways that you can approach pain. One is this sort of stoic idea of, just grin and bear it and get through it, but that doesn't help anybody. Then there's the next idea of this idea that, desire is the root of all evil and all unhappiness. You just stop desiring things and you'll stop being unhappy. But I can't get behind that either, because desire is good, desiring to be a better version of yourself and desiring good for people around you. It calls us to action. And then the Christian mentality is that love can actually transcend suffering. You know, the biggest story is that the suffering of one man was good for everybody. And so if you personalize that and put it on a day-to-day basis, you know, take another example. You have a mother who's up all night with her 1-year-old with a fever. She's going to suffer. She's not going to get any sleep, and it's going to hurt, and it's not going to be fun. But because she loves the child, all of a sudden the suffering doesn't go away, but it's given purpose. It's given meaning. And she's done it out of love. And so your suffering can be used for good. And so when we take that focus away from ourselves and put it onto others, how are you suffering? What can I do? In helping others, we start to heal kind of ourselves, really.
You're always such an inspiration, Anthony, and I hope today that people watching as well are inspired to pray that these things would happen in the hearts of people who are still struggling through the consequences of what that fire brought to their life. We need to remember to pray. We need to keep giving to help, you know, that rebuilding process that's going on. Thanks for just coming and giving us a little bit of inspiration today. I appreciate it, Anthony.
You bet. Thanks for having me, Cheryl. Appreciate it.
Okay. Bye-bye.